So today I'm going to cover the garage door. On my property, when they were adding the lath and the concrete to the garage door, I got sick, so I couldn't make videos. However, I'm here at a different project and they're in the process of installing on the outside of the property. This is the side of the house. In this particular ADU, they're adding new stucco throughout the property, but for the purpose of somebody who just wants to do the front, we're going to go to the front of the garage door and see what it looks like right now. Before I move on with the video, just remember I'm a realtor, and if you really like the content that I'm creating, I would really appreciate it if you passed on my information to a friend, a family member, a co-worker that's thinking about buying or selling a house. Mario is working on the property right now. He's finishing up all the lath and he's going to get ready for the inspection. So let's take a look at what you need to do in order to pass your inspection for the front of your garage door. As you can see, we have the street and this is where the garage door used to be. And let's go into details of what you need to do in order to pass this inspection. So first of all, you're going to have your garage door. You're going to have to frame it. This is the inside of the ADU where the garage door used to be. So first is first, you're going to have to frame your door with pressure treated wood, and then you have your standard 2x4 studs. So this would be the inside. You do this type of framing, and then you got to add your shear walls. So this is your shear walls. On this particular scenario, the shear walls had to be on the outside because it's almost new construction. And then right on the outside, you have your 2x4 pressure treated wood, your shear walls. You're gonna have to add the paper, that's for the rain. So when you have your inspections, and this is almost finished, I'll take you to the other side so you can know how it's gonna pass the inspection. But you're gonna take your lath, your contractor's gonna attach it to the 2x4s. The way that it is right now, it's not gonna pass inspection. If you're working on an ADU, or if you have somebody doing your ADU and they call the inspector and the project looks like this, most likely it's not going to pass. What my guy did, my contractor Mario, is he installed the lath, he installed the paper, and on top of that, to make sure that we pass the inspection without a problem, and this is the same thing he did in my garage, he added silicone to all the staples. What happens is when it rains, sometimes the water goes behind the concrete and it starts to sink into the wood. In order to stop that, he added some silicone to all the staples. As you can see, there's silicone all over the place. And if you add silicone to all the staples, you're giving it another barrier of protection. And when the inspector saw this, he loved it, he signed it, and he basically told me, go on, add your scratch to the lath, call me when that is done, and then you can go to the next step. I spoke to one guy over the phone and I told him what I needed to do. I gave him the dimensions. I said my garage door is X size, and he said, are you gonna have a lath inspection? I told him yes. So by automatically me saying yes, his prices went up. I don't know why. He just wanted to charge me a little bit more because I was gonna have an inspection. Maybe it's because he had to come by to be there with the inspector. I don't know why he wanted to charge me more money. I just said, forget this guy, I'm gonna go with somebody else. And that's when I happened to bump into the main contractor that helped me with the garage door. So I was very happy with him. I mean, 100%. He did my project, now he's doing this project, and he's doing the same exact work that he did on my property, and I have no doubts this is gonna pass the inspection. So the overall cost to complete something like this on my particular project, the contractor had to break up the stucco around the garage door. Then they had to install the black paper for the waterproof. Then they had to install the lath. On top of that, they had to install the silicone in all the staples to pass the inspection. Once the staples are installed, you call your inspector. He'll look at all this. Once this is done properly, he'll give you the okay to do your first coat, which is called a scratch. So about 3 days after that, when the first layer has dried up, you do your brown. And that's when they come in with a special tool and they leave a little bit of grooves on the stucco so the last finish can latch on. And to do all that work was $2,500 bucks. But $2,500 bucks what he included for his $2,500 was to finish my garage door, and he also finished up 3 windows, and he finished up the main door. So it was a lot of work, but he also managed to give me a great deal. Some companies were charging me $2,500 just to do the garage door. They were not even looking at the windows, they were not even looking at the door. So my contractor managed to give me a deal and finish anything that needed stucco. I'm gonna go back to my house so I can show you the finish. Now I'm going to show you what I got for my $2,500, and the $2,500 didn't just include the labor, it also included all the materials that he needed to complete the job. So he covered up the garage door, followed all the steps, he waterproofed this window, he also waterproofed 2 windows on this side, he opened up some of the stucco to make sure the old stucco and the new stucco join together perfectly. He did this window waterproofed, this window waterproofed, and coming over to this side he also waterproofed and fixed the window here, and he fixed and waterproofed the entire door. There was another gentleman that came by and he wanted about $2,000 just to fix and stucco the garage door. When I told him I wanted all the other things included, his price just went up. I called Mario, he gave me such a great deal, and his work is just amazing. I'm super happy with the finished product. Since I managed to save a little bit of money on projects inside, what I did is I decided to go with a Santa Barbara finish on the front of the property. This is the smooth stucco. This is the traditional finish. I don't really like it. I just wanted the smooth finish in the front. I don't really care about the sides. But in order to do this kind of finish, he charged me an additional $1,500. $2,500 for the stucco, the garage door, and $1,500 for the smooth finish. I think it's a great deal. Other companies were charging me to do everything. I think it was about $5,000, and he managed to beat them, and I managed to save $1,000. $1,000 building an ADU goes a long way. The money that I saved on the stucco was the amount of money that I used to buy all my windows. If you've seen the footings video, you know I had to open up the asphalt to find out if I had footings or not. So at the end, this is what happened. I was gonna cover this up with asphalt or concrete, but I just decided to leave it open. And a really quick fix was to add some rocks I already had laying around. I went to the local nursery, I bought this plant for $1, and this is $1 setup. I did this here, we did this over here, and on the very last section here. So that's a way that you can cover up if you had to open up the concrete or asphalt on your property. You can just add some cool little plants. Now you know the steps that you need to take in order to cover up the garage door. It's not the toughest thing in the world. As long as your contractor knows what he's doing, the inspections should be very easy. The very next video that I'm going to upload is the drywall. We already drywalled up the inside of the ADU, so I'm going to cover how much I spend on materials, and I'm going to cover how much I spend on labor. At the same time, I'm going to talk about the inspections we had to pass in order to go to the next step.